let's quickly blitz through, shall we? Outlet Fork, you did your best out there, kiddo. I appreciate it. I do probably want to try another Coglin. Let's go in with a Coglin that we actually care about, respect, and love, and don't throw them immediately to the whims of the gods, and instead we'll kind of play as we go. I am trying to recall, without bringing up my spreadsheet, because I of course do have that as a backup, what gods would we want to go with? Could potentially aim for, I mentioned Zin earlier this evening as a maybe option. Sif Muna, not a great fit, and I'm still potentially looking forward to a Sif Muna Mountain Dwarf, really lean into that like heavy armor caster approach, since that's something we did even before Mountain Dwarves were introduced as a Sif Muna kind of silly meme approach. I guess Ashenzari always pretty solid across the board. Well, let's try it out here. Gladiator, Longsword, and I don't even have the limited creativity from earlier in the stream here, so let's just go in with Pokey, shall we? And otherwise, I mean, nothing too crazy going on here. This is pretty much the same skilling that we were seeing on the previous runs. I just feel like it's a solid way to start off, trying to get our min delay as soon as possible on the weapon front. And let's grab that seed as well. Good old Pokey. Fantastic. And with that, let's try to run through the early dungeon. We kind of set ourselves up to be in a fun leaping off point in the future. So we almost die to the first ball python we see. Very surprising in this context. Again, I feel like Coglings are actually quite strong in their base state. So usually the first few floors of the dungeon, bit of a romp more than any kind of challenging foray, but I guess it's good to get ourselves checked early. Check early, check often. And the more the game tries to save me from my own ineptitude and stupidity, the better off these poor adventurers will be, I guess. And not too shabby there. Of course, nothing earth-shattering, but just having a solid D1 is about all you can ask. You know, I don't want the best D in the world, I just want the best D1. And an electric branded short sword that probably actually takes the place of our long sword for now, keeps our attack nice and lickety split here, while also adding the potential proc on the electrical brand, which will carry us through these early combats if we are so inclined, or rather if luck is so inclined to be by my side. Lady Luck. And you know what? I'll change into heavy armor early on. I think this time around, again, maybe want to lean a bit further into the evasion side of the equation. The evasion equation, as we've always called it here on the channel, of course. But that can wait for later in the game here. For now, 12 AC, I think, is a bit preferable to just make sure that we don't run into any more ball pythons that almost murder us in our boots here, shall we? And not too shabby. Just level 4 by the end of D2. One of our relatively recent runs, had somebody comment on YouTube that I think we got to experience level 6 by the end of D2, which didn't even cross my mind at the time, but looking back is just wild. I'll have to figure out which one that was on. I'm guessing it was a lot of uniques, and maybe an out-of-depth enemy or two, killing like a null pack. If you are unlucky enough to find a null pack in the first 2 floors of the dungeon, but conversely lucky enough to be able to kill them, then you end up being in a pretty dang solid spot for your future. Well, let me just double check. We feel buzz there. Okay, nothing important going on. Fantastic. And should be us fairly good to go. Again, starting with the longsword this time, I think eventually the goal will be to switch the electric brand into our offhand and go back to regular sword. Ooh, Chabriatos is another one that we have not beat yet. How does Chabriatos sound on a Coglin? Less good on a sword Coglin. If you were instead an axe-wielding Coglin, I think that plays a bit more into the Chabriatos approach of let them come. Because, of course, enemies will kind of make their approach, and then you can, even if they surround you, you don't need to worry quite as much about fancy positioning, and you can just kill the Sons of Guns. Okay, definitely retreating from this group. There was a priest in that orc pack. Okay, I see. The game was pulling punches until D4 when we just let loose the dogs of war. I don't really want to just leave, but I do have concerns for our ability to handle these Sons of Guns in any kind of meaningful manner. And actually, that is already so much more preferable. Could have some smites coming in here. Oh, thank you, Orc Priest. I very much appreciate you diving directly into the line of fire there. Very brave and cool of you. Let's try and get a net on these Sons of Guns as well, just to give me some level of safety and security in these trying times. Ooh, okay, we used up 2 of our nets, burned right through those Sons of Guns, but still worth it to just ensure some relative amount of safety in that absolute crapstorm of a situation. Not too shabby. Definitely running a little bit lighter on the magical side of things. Never mind. Well, a +9 dagger, you say? I mean, that definitely replaces our current dagger in the offhand. Fantastic. See invisible. Dex +5, also super solid. You know, I didn't expect. The game wanted me to complain just slightly, just a little bit. You know, give it the kick in the butt, the impetus to change its view on the world. And we'll keep heading up. My usual strategy to find time portals, just pick a direction and start sprinting your little heart out. And it does look like it has paid off for us here. This, assumedly, is an ossuary. Right? It's not just a convention of undead. I don't think it's not the right time of year for the Dead Con. Undead Con? There's got to be something more clever there, but my brain is not where one should delve when aiming for cleverness, intelligence, or anything remotely similar to the two. But okie dokie, this should be pretty free for us with the +9 dagger. I think most straightforward encounters are going to be a joke. At least that's my greatest desire at this moment in time. Again, low bar, but such is life. Fantastic. And with that, we just get the heck out of Dodge, get a bunch of consumables. That's always my favorite part of the ossuaries. It's getting the slew of goodies in regards to potions. Ooh, and we get Curar here. Okay, we're building up our tool sets. Oh my gosh. Okay, rapier, please. Rapier of speed? Oh, he just doesn't miss, folks. Well, I think I take that over the short sword here. We have the +9. So with the speed from that air attack, even though we don't have much training, already down to 0.6. I think that should be pretty solid for us here. I'm hoping for the Economical Temple, though, sooner rather than later. Wujian, I wish. Unfortunately, been there, done that, so we'll just have to leave you on red here this evening. But at the very least, I guess we can kind of decide on what god we wish to go with here. 6 short bow. I mean, it's not my preferred approach for Coglin. And I mean, if you had a Coglin Formicid hybrid, then we'd be in business with the double short bows. But unfortunately, no dice here today. And with that, let's just keep on heading down, not that far down. And I have nothing ID'd. Oh, I am in deep trouble here. Can I net you? And then just try to stab you as many times as I can while you're stuck in the net. Okay. Ooh, Fedhass. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is the kind of situation that's rough enough to warrant an emergent or last ditch leap of faith, quite literally, on the faith side. But I'm gonna hold out hope. I'm holding on for a hero till the end of the night. It's gotta be strong, gotta be fast. Oh, and lest I forget to mention, got to be fresh from the fight. But okay, more decks for me, please and thank you. Another electrical branded short blade. But in general, I'm letting these buddies come to me. I didn't want to take a trapdoor unless absolutely necessary. Unfortunately, absolutely necessary seems to be hitting a little faster than I would like. Hey, Coglin is new to you. What are they good for? Main thing is having a weapon in each hand. So they're offset slightly in that component by having their attack speed and damage reduced for the first part of a fight. It's called revving up. And then once you've gone in a few attacks, you're fully revved, you're up to full speed, and you're just getting 2 attacks per turn. Kind of averages the attack speed between both your weapons, so there are some interesting little interactions there as well. And that's the main part of the benefit. The other side of things is no rings, no amulets, no jewelry of any kind. But to make up for that, at level 14, you're able to invent a gadget, and the gadget can have all sorts of egos on it. I think there's some, it seems like it takes 1 ego from a list of kind of strong options, and then a few from kind of your average resistances. So like last time around, we had one of the new egos, Auto Dazzle. That makes it so when enemies missed us in combat, we sent out blinding rays towards them. Cool in theory, didn't really get to see it shake out, especially since after that point we fought nothing but ranged enemies for all eternity, or at least until our non-beknown to us, our incoming doom. But still a pretty neat little ego. There's also Gadgeteer, which makes like evocables have a chance to not use charges and to recharge faster. So that was pretty cool. That was our first Coglin victory, our Wujian Coglin. And so that's the general gist of it. Jeez Louise. Okay. I'm down to go into temple, I think. Though it's going to be a nightmare to try and leave. Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting, Lost Out. I find that you definitely hit, it's a similar difficulty curve to something like a troll. Early game, your double hit can murder most things outright, so unless you get unlucky, you're generally kind of snowballing through the early dungeon. But it's right at that like S branch mark. Maybe if you're lucky a bit later, you push off till depths. That's where things start to get tricky, because not having amulets or rings means that resistances are very static. You know, you're not able to hot swap between all of the necessary components. Instead, you just have to commit, cross your fingers, and hope that everything works out. Speaking of commitments, not great god options here in the temple itself, specifically because we've gone wins with pretty much all of them. We have Sif Muna and Ashenzari as our main options here. How do I feel about Ash? I mean, the bonuses are pretty solid across the board. Getting like clarity of mind later on, of course, is fantastic. I also will be locking in. I don't have ring slots. That must be balanced, right? I think with other species that have limited equipment, I believe the piety gain is shifted on Ash, so that when every available slot is cursed, you're good to go, you're maxed out. Do I want to find out today? I could. Otherwise, let's maybe do a little bit of a step back, a zoom out, if you will. Alternatively, it would probably be going with like Zen. Luganu, I kind of had my shot in the dark hope that we'd have Luganu as an option early on, because I do want to, my brain was going to say get that out of the way, but that's a bit misleading because I feel like that has a lot of negative connotation. I mainly just want to experience it again. Luganu is always a lot of fun. It's super strong as well with the Banish ability. But unfortunately, can't quite force it. So, Ash, good to meet you. Okay, I'm mesmerized, but this is all technically equidistant from where Maggie was standing. Perfect. Okay, I think what sucks is Joseph alone, I think I can fight. Maybe erroneously, I believe I can fight, but nonetheless, I do have this confidence. Oof. Especially, I was concerned with Maggie for just this reason, or for exactly this reason, I should say. Okay, I'd like to keep my final Curari for Maggie themselves. I mean, oh, I could have fogged. That was probably the correct decision to make, but it is what it is. Well, no time like the present to just duke it out. Am I right, folks? Oh no. Okay, hold up. Don't really want to kill the Knoll. Okay, maybe I shoot for the stars, and when you miss, you'll probably crash land somewhere and cause some horrific incident, because even a human body falling from space has the power of a small nuclear armament. I get some, what is it? Pillars of God? Hand of God? Fingers of God? I forget what the code name was for the whole orbital titanium rods concept, but nonetheless, that's what we're aiming for here. Okay, cool. We quaff ID, and we do get heal wounds. So the game is, for better or for worse, giving me some hope of getting through here. And I am going to burn all the consumables. This is early enough in a run that normally might be worth it to just roll the dice there. Don't burn up too much of your future options and instead go for like kind of a bare minimum surface level approach. But hey, not the end of the world either way. Some insurance or survival definitely pays off there, so that is wonderful. There we go. Okay, finally. It was many days ago that we got cursed and thrown into the pitfall trap there, so very happy to be back up to D6. And let's take a look here. Fortitude, pretty solid. Shields is useless, but I guess armor is alright. Hexes and translocations, I mean, lends itself to a kind of utility approach to magic, which, if we engage in any magic usage, will be in that vein, in that general flavor, but I'm not in any huge rush to do so, so let's hold out hope. I don't have to reject this, I don't believe. It's been so long since I played Ashenzari. I feel like I have to get back into the swing of things, remember how the gears churn and burn. There's the Zin altar that we wish we had found earlier. If not for the pit trap, then we almost definitely would have ended up following Zin instead of Ash here, but let's not focus on that. Melee combat and fortitude. This is probably good enough for now, right? We'll likely remove it in the future, but if we just throw that on, like, blank pair of boots, hell yeah, brother. I think that will work out for us, at least to a certain extent. And so let's get back on track here. A little bit more usual, hopefully, from now on. I need to stop saying stuff. Again, it's that very high-tech adaptive AI that DCSS uses to listen to us and just throw our words back in our face. But such are the joys and pleasures of the experience, aren't they? Gonna have less to curse without the rings. So yeah, we're talking about that in the temple. I'm hoping, I've not confirmed at all, which maybe could have done, you know, with a bit of searching before jumping into the mix of things, but I believe with the other species that have limited slots, it scales. It being the like piety that we get from Ash. So even though we don't have the rings, I think our boots, body, helmet, weapons. Oh, right, we have the second weapon as well. I think way counterbalance that and make it fair. But let's learn together, shall we? Conjurations, alchemy, melee combat. I could put melee combat on something. Let's be fast to curse early on here. We can always break these later, but that gives us the full ID, so that's pretty huge. Fantastic. And oh my gosh, and we're almost unexplored territory. I guess this floor and the next, now that I think about it. I forgot we got shafted all the way down to 9. 3 floors definitely feels like a hell of a lot more space to cover when you're this early on in your run. Okay, let's Curari you up the wazoo. Fantastic. And okie dokie. Where do we wish to throw our training moving forward? We got Mindalay on our weapons, so that is always a huge little uptick. Yes, much like last time, we could immediately pivot into Evo. We have some decent wands already here. So that seems like a pretty fantastic match. And then maybe we will do some armor as well. We'll go very much in line with the approach we took in our last Coglin run. How much damage do you, my friend? Flash freeze hits like a little bit more of a truck than I would like. Well, 76% chance to kill you sounds like good odds to me. Oh, and that was our lair entrance. Found nice and early here. Always love to see that. Even refilling our heal wounds potions that we've been just scorching our way through. Sorcery and ranged combat, all kind of trash. +3 ring mail on the other hand. You know, armor class came down a bit, but bringing our evasion up to 11 is huge, so I will gladly take that. I guess I said Mindalay earlier on our weapons. I kind of forgot we're using 2 short blades right now, so I don't know how accurate that assessment was, but I'm sure we'll be fine regardless. +9 dagger. Hard to argue with that, that kind of outfitting, you know? Suddenly intelligent planning and concise development of your character very quickly falls by the wayside of just getting lucky, as it oftentimes does with me. But not too shabby here. until that encounter. Ooh, but cloak is a good start. If we can finally get our armor class up a bit, also gives us another curse slot, which is huge. Speaking of, Ash, if you could be so kind. Oh, well, how about that? Cunning and companions. Companions, I'm guessing, is summoning and necromancy? Summoning and necromancy. And then the other side of the coin, dodging and stealth. I mean, none of it is what I want. But, again, this cloak should be easy to recycle in the future. So let's throw it there for now. Let's see, we have 3 cursed items. On 2 cursed items, we got up to reveals the unseen. That feels like it follows the logic of what I was mentioning earlier, right? Okay. And just need some more time and we can get our gadget online here. So just run and gun, hold to our spirits here, and I'm sure everything will be alright. Definitely head down, and if I could get access... Son of a gun. Jesus, okay. Lots of bees could be a problem, but again, just kind of hoping that our overall damage output is high enough, plus our chances to hit. What is this scary face, though? Maybe not accessible? Okay. Not accessible. Hell yeah. Okay, if nothing else though, I would like to take us to the point of getting to the stairwell that led up to, was it a shop, I think, on the earlier floor? I just knew there was something behind a glass wall that I very much wanted to get my grubby little paws on, and so that is the current thrust of our adventure here. Just have to survive long enough to see it in action. Bigger venom, no thank you. I'm full thanks. And not too shabby whatsoever. I guess I could also check out you. Another short sword of electrocution. Definitely a bit of a theme going on here this evening. I should not have run up to this buddy. That's a flame wand charge if I've ever seen one. Just terrible, terrible work on my part, as expected. Never change me. And that should be the one, right? Hell yeah. Let's check it out. I should have looked through the wall. I could have examined and known just how disappointing this moment would be, but it is what it is. Let's finish off this floor. And then I think we'll actually be potentially done for the evening here. Again, it has to be a shorter one here today, which I do, as always, profusely apologize for, but such is the way of the world at times. And definitely handle these the proper way this time, shall we? Bit of steaming action. Nice portion of unagi for your troubles. You, my friend, you can shoot through plants, right? Why would I expect you to be sensible and fair? Now, I'm definitely the one that is crazy in that context. Tab will likely be the death of me yet, but not in that encounter at the very least. Fantastic. And not too shabby. So against an extended group of enemies, not doing great right now. That's the one big downfall of evasion. Law of large numbers. You get hit with enough attacks, some are going to sneak through. So there we start to feel a little bit less secure. Maybe it was just unlucky though. Maybe every other encounter will go smoother than that. Who's to really have their fingers on the pulse of the dungeon here? But regardless, I think we're in a pretty solid spot here to leave ourselves off with a prospective future next week as we jump in. I'm tempted to run this character into the ground. You know, die in some kind of embarrassing, stupid fashion in the near future here, and then fresh start next week. But I think for the sake of my schedule this upcoming week, and for maybe the continued sanity of us all, this may be a good time, especially if these weird burp hiccups. I don't know why my body decides to combine those two. I think I've just lost the ability to hiccup properly. I used to burp and occasionally get hiccups, and now especially when I'm streaming, actually not even especially, pretty much just when I'm streaming, I feel like I try to swallow hiccups and that never goes well. But hey, it is what it is, I guess. And again, I think for the sanity of us all, this will be a good time to call it for the evening here. We'll turn in and save Pokey's continued adventure for next Sunday, most likely. You know, we'll see if anything comes up. It is Canadian Thanksgiving sometime. I think that's next weekend. I don't know. When it comes to dates, times, and any kind of holiday or scheduling, this is not the guy you ask. So, you know, take anything I say with a grain of salt. But I think there's a sneaking suspicion in the back of my brain that Canadian Thanksgiving, it's coming up soon. That's all I know. Next weekend sounds about right. But I don't think I have too many crazy plans. If anything, it will shift it a day forward or back to Saturday or Monday. Who's to say what the future has in store for us all, really? So I think that'll be the plan. But regardless, of course, huge appreciation for all you folks for joining us on the journey here. You know, if you're chatting alongside us, lurking in the background, or hey, if you're watching us down the road through the VODs on Twitch or YouTube, then thanks for your patronage. Thanks for joining us. I hope don't drive you too crazy, though I feel like I might not like the answer to that assessment. And regardless, yeah, thanks for dropping on by. Cheers, have a good one. Yeah, you as well, Zot, and the rest of you as well. Hope everyone has a fantastic end to their weekend, start to their week, whatever kind of moment you're presiding in right now. This brief glimpse of time. But, of course, we'll do our usual routine here. We'll do a quick check to see who's live at the moment, who we can send a raid off to. See if any of those crawlers are around here today. It feels like it's been a while, though, since we've been able to raid into DCSS. And doesn't look like today is the day that we buck that trend. But, hey, definitely still stick around, say hello. I think we'll be raiding into Brinth, which, again, if you're a fan of the stream here, almost definitely been around before as you raid into their channel. Highly recommend sticking around, saying hello. Always a fantastic time. Wonderful individual. Favorite goat on this side of the ancestral plane is what I was gonna say. I think my brain was trying to get to maybe astral plane. Been playing too much Baldur's Gate 3 lately, trying to finish off my honor mode run. But anyway, just floundered and failed on its way there. But yes, thanks. Hi, Screwy. Good to see you, my pal. And yeah, I guess with that being said, we can actually get that started here. Don't think there's anything else too crazy on my end. So let us get that queued up, started off. Make sure I don't change over to another camera view as I finish off the stream here today, because wouldn't that just be embarrassing if that ever happened? Couldn't be me. But regardless, of course, I do hope you're having a great morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is for you out there, and I definitely hope to see you around next week when we jump back in with Pokey, and maybe without Zom, have a bit more success in our lives. But we'll see how it goes. Just remember, folks, we never, even for a moment, even in the chaos of Zom, followed by the curse of Ash, never for a moment didn't have it. I'll see you soon. Let's get ready to hop right into it, shall we? Back in with good old Pokey. Just gone down to D10 here, and we were, I believe, thinking about going into Lair. Maybe I should have rewatched the end of last stream to try to bring back some memories as to what exactly we had going on. But I think in general we should be good for Lair. We have 2 weapons that aren't going to trigger any Hydra heads growing, so that's always a nice place to be operating out of. Though, you know, if the dungeon could just give us no Hydras, that would also be fine with me. But with that in mind, let's head over to our lair and let's see if we can't dip our toes in and see how things are looking here. We of course don't have poison resistance, so let's be a little bit cautious and cognizant of that when we're facing off against cane toads and all kinds of snakes. And let's do this. Speak of the devil, though the snake shouldn't be a problem. Don't have much poison on a water moccasin. And let's just get into the swing of things. All water moccasins? Maybe, just maybe. Oof. Okay, here we go. Our first cane toad of the evening. We're very much able to paralyze it if we have to. I would obviously prefer not to, seeing as how we only have one of those bad boys left. You know, blowing them up with a single mind burst, also fine by me. That gets the job done fantastically. And then let's get these kiddos heading my way. So just wait a few turns while we let them wake up a wee bit here. Unfortunately, they're not a great place for the line of sight on our throwables, but still not too shabby. We're of course still struggling a little bit with our defenses here. 13 AC, 12 evasion, not the most positive place to be sitting at this stage in the game, but hopefully it will be just enough for us to kind of continue making our way along and seeing what else the dungeon has in store for us here. I believe, probably should check this as we jump back into things today. I want to say we were training throwing an Evo. That's usually where we're at this stage in the game on a melee character. That does seem to be the case here. We'll probably just keep those on track for the time being here. I would like to train a bit more dodging and probably some more fighting as well, but we'll give it a hot minute here and see how things are looking as we kind of continue heading in that general direction. We can probably face off against the blink frogs without too much issue. Fantastic. Oh, there is a longsword. Of course, on this run, because we started Gladiator, we did already have access. Something along that line. Or something along those lines is what my brain was trying to fill in the blanks with. Okay, I've spent so many turns just wandering about here. This pack of blink frogs, unfortunately, is kind of doing us in. Not like this. Immediately die within. How long have we been live here? 7 minutes. Oh me oh my. This is what I get though for relying on my luck a little bit too much these days. Oof. Well, that's not going to cut nicely into a YouTube export. Yikes. Oh, Pokey the Carver. How quickly the mighty have fallen here. I guess we had good offensive stats, not so much on the defense side of things. Holy moly. Well, I definitely should have done a little bit of homework and decided on what we were going to play. If the inevitable misery should occur. Unfortunately, hadn't quite gone there in my own on my own side of things.